Hi everyone, my name is Suzanne and I'm a Chinese metaphysics master in Hong Kong. So last week I was talking about the top 10 reasons for relationship breakup, and since this is a two-part series, last week in the last video I was talking about the first 5 reasons, and today we're going to continue and we're going to look at reasons 6 to 10. So if you haven't had a look at the previous video, then check that out first and then come back to part 2, and we are going to discuss all the rest of those really pesky relationship breakup reasons that we want to be aware of before we get into a relationship. All right, so as mentioned in the previous video, this particular analysis in Bazi Astrology helps us check in with ourselves. What are actually our own breaking points? And once we are aware of those breaking points, we can adapt our behavior, we can improve our behavior in such a way that we are maybe becoming a bit more tolerant, more supportive, more loving, more caring, yeah, so that we know what it is that we are not really providing to our partner and that we should be providing. And obviously on the other hand, you can also check your partner's Bazi chart to see where he or she is lacking and discuss this with him or her and see whether you can come to some sort of compromise so that the relationship breakup does not have to happen. Yeah, because obviously this is painful, this is hurtful. We do not want relationship breakups. Now, the first thing we need to do is plot our Bazi chart, and you can do that in the link here on the slide. I'm also gonna put this URL in the notes to the video, so you can just key in your date and time of birth, and then you get a Bazi chart. Now, for this analysis, it would really be helpful if you do have your time of birth as well, because then this is much more accurate. If you don't have your date, if you don't have your hour of birth or your time of birth, this is slightly off, so it may be about 20% less accurate, what we're talking about here now. So once you do get this Bazi chart, it's a pretty long chart, and for those of you who are not familiar with Chinese astrology or Bazi astrology as we call it, it's going to be really confusing. There's a lot of information there, but don't worry, just scroll down all the way to the bottom. And then at the bottom on the right hand side, you will see this particular chart. It's called a 10 profile strength chart. And we are completely unconcerned with the annual distribution here. So don't look at this one. All we focus on is the natal distribution. And then we see 10 profiles here. So we've got rob wealth, friend, eating god, hurting officer, and so on. Those are the 10 profiles that everybody has in their chart, but at different distribution. So for this person here, rob wealth is at the top, whereas for another person, it may be at 5th place, for example. But we all have those 10 different profiles somewhere at different percentages. So check what you have there. And then we focus mostly on the main profile that you have here. And we also focus on all those that are less than 20%. So in this particular case, direct wealth, indirect wealth, direct officer, and direct resource are all less than 20%. And we also focus on those that are more than 95%. Yeah, so look at the main profile, those that are less than 20% and those that are more than 95%. So in this particular case, we do not have anything that's more than 95%. 88% is still very much in the healthy range, so that is fine. And again, do not look at the annual distribution. We use this for something else. All right, so we have already covered the first 5 top 5 reasons for a breakup, and today we're going to continue with the reason number 6 for relationship failure, and this has to do with ego and intolerance. Now, sometimes a relationship breakup is caused by your ego either being too high or too strong, or your ego is completely gone and you lose yourself in a relationship. Yeah, in which case you sacrifice everything for a relationship, including yourself. So you kind of give up your own identity. And either one of these extremes is not great. So either if you have a very, very high ego, then you essentially ask your partner to sacrifice everything for you, for the relationship. And if you have no ego at all, then you are the one who is sacrificing everything. It's not healthy, and therefore this eventually can lead to a relationship breakup. Now, this is seen in the friend element. So here we see the friend element at 83%. So this is very much in the healthy range. Now, if your friend element is 20% or below, then you give up your identity for someone else. And you need a lot of reassurance in order to feel like you can be yourself. If it's, on the other hand, if it's higher than 95%, ego and intolerance are your biggest downfalls. Yeah, you're very, very intolerant to other people's opinions, points of views, lifestyles, and basically everything needs to be done according to your rules. And you very much ask from your partner that they kind of stick to your rules and your lifestyle. Now, if friend is your main profile, so if you have it here in the main profile, then you are usually looking for someone to secure your identity. You want someone who makes you feel good about yourself and reinforces your ego constantly. Yes, so you really need a lot of assurance. Now, these kind of behaviors are not great, and they may not immediately lead to a relationship breakup, but at some point, you yourself or your partner may feel that something is very, very off, because there's a big imbalance here. And so this may eventually lead to a relationship breakup. So this doesn't mean that this has to happen. You can course correct. When you see this in your chart, you can obviously change your behavior and make sure that this doesn't happen. All right, so this is reason number 6. Now, reason number 7 may be surprising, but reason number 7 is third-party interference. And usually we think this is way on top of why a relationship breaks apart. But actually, it's only at place or ranking number 7 when it comes to reasons for a breakup. A third party has a chance to enter a relationship when the relationship itself doesn't feel like a partnership anymore. Yeah, when there's no more connection with your partner. And this is then when a third party can come in. Now, in order to see this, we look at the rob wealth element here. So this is rob wealth, and this person also has a rob wealth main profile. Now, if your main profile is rob wealth, then it doesn't mean that you want a third party or that you want an outside affair. Yeah, on the contrary, what you want, if this is your main profile, is not just a relationship. You want a partnership, you want a partner in crime, you want a best friend, and on top of that, he or she also needs to be your romantic partner. Yeah, so you're a team. This is what it means when rob wealth is your main profile. Now, if rob wealth is in addition to that, or just separately, if it's below 20% or more than 95%, you have the tendency to make your partner feel unwanted or unneeded or unappreciated. And this could then lead to them inviting in a third party into the relationship. This could lead them to have an outside affair with someone who seems to care more about them than you do. Yeah. So when you see this in your chart, so in this particular case, we don't have this particular problem. When you see this in a chart, then what you need to do is actually show your partner some more appreciation, give them more attention, and then this is not likely going to happen. So this is the rob wealth element, the third party interference. Now, reason number 8 for relationship breakups is that there may be a discrepancy between or with expectations and support. Now, you may feel that there's not enough emotional support in difficult situations from your partner, or it could be a lack of financial support. Overall, you may expect support from your partner on whichever level, emotional, mental, physical, financial, but you don't receive it. And this can then lead to a breakdown of the relationship. Probably not immediately, but if you constantly feel that you're not really supported in this relationship, then eventually you're going to think to yourself, well, why am I even in this relationship? So the other person seems not to care, and this creates a breakup. So this is something that you see when you look at the direct officer. So where do we have it here? There is direct officer. Now, if your main profile is direct officer, you really want someone who is very, very supportive, and that's the most important thing for you. You want someone compassionate, someone who is kind of like a cheerleader to you, someone who lifts you up. And it doesn't necessarily mean just financial support. It could mean that you are completely financially fine, you're financially independent, but you want someone who supports you emotionally if you're going through a bad time. Yeah, so if this is your main profile, then really the main thing you're looking for is someone who supports you in every level, on every level. Now, if your direct officer is below 20%, like in this particular case, it's 0%. If the direct officer is below 20% or 95% or higher, then you're lacking in empathy, or you're not really good at supporting your partner. You know, you may not be like that. Yeah, so you may actually truly love and support your partner, but you're just not showing it. And if you're not showing it, your partner's never going to know that you really actually support them. So you may come across as not caring. You may come across as someone who's not really compassionate or empathetic. And you are therefore not good at providing emotional or mental or physical or financial support, even though this may not be your intention at all. Yeah, you may feel for your partner when they are going through a rough patch, but you then actually need to also show it. And if you have 0% direct officer, or below 20% or above 95%, you're really not very good at showing this. So you need to work on this particular aspect of your personality to make sure that your partner feels supported. All right, so this was reason number 8. Now, reason number 9 is family pressure and social pressure. Now, this could mean that maybe you're someone who constantly just listens to your family or your peers, your friends, as to what is good for you in a relationship, and you really ignore your own needs and your own wants, and you just follow whatever your family or your social circle says. And if your social circle says, oh, this person isn't good for you, then you walk away. Now, for this, we look at the direct resource. So where do we have it here? Direct resource, right? So if direct resource is your main profile, then you have a need for family and social acceptance. It's important for you that your partner fits in with your family, and it's important for you that your partner fits in with your circle of friends. So it's really important that there's absolutely zero friction, and there's no tension between your partner and your family, your partner and your friends. So if you see this in your partner's chart, then what you need to do is build up a really, really good relationship with their family or with their circle of friends, and then you're in. Yeah. And you really have to work on maintaining those relationships. Now, if direct resource is below 20, like in this particular case, we have it at 0%. If direct resource is below 20% or above 95%, then you have a hard time standing up to family or social pressure, and you might get pressured into a relationship you don't want, or you may be pressured into ending a relationship even though you don't want to end it. But if everybody tells you, oh, this is not a good person, they don't fit in, and you have this at a really, really low percentage or at a high percentage, then you are just pressured into relationship decisions that you yourself would otherwise not make. So you need to learn to stand up to family. You need to learn to stand up to social pressure in order to maintain the relationship and not ruining the relationship, even though it's a good one for you, but it's just your social circle or your family circle who does not agree. So this is direct resource. And then lastly, reason number 10 has to do with domestic health. So this domestic health is to be understood in the sense of how at home do you feel when you're at home? Yeah, some of us, we need our home to be very, very tidy and organized to feel at home. Some of us are a little bit more disorganized and maybe a little bit sloppy and don't mind if there's a bit of chaos in order to feel at home. So if you have two partners that are completely at odds with each other, one is totally organized and one just needs it to be slightly chaotic or somewhat chaotic to feel at home, then this can create constant friction between them, and eventually this can erode a relationship. Yeah, so do you feel comfortable and warm at home? Is everything the way you want it? Is it too messy? Is it too organized? So everything to do with your home setting. Yeah. In very, very extreme cases, domestic abuse also falls into this category, but I would say for the purpose of this particular analysis, let's just look at just generally, do you feel at home or not? Do you have the same understanding about what home means for you? Yeah, in order to actually identify domestic abuse, we look at many, many other different factors as well. Now, for this particular aspect, we look at indirect resource. Where do we have it here? Yeah, and it's at 42%. So if your main profile is indirect resource, you like your home to be happy and clean and organized with certain rules both people agree on. It's important to you that both of you agree how the home needs to be organized. Yeah, and if this is your main profile, most likely you want it to be clean, not too messy. There need to be certain rules. For example, who's going to do the dishes? That's a certain rule. You put rules in place as to who's taking out the trash, these kind of things. Yeah, so domestic health. Yeah, now if indirect resource is lower than 20% or higher than 95%, then you're a bit OCD about your domestic health, and you can't really make any compromises. And that obviously then leads to you trying to impose very strict rules without being willing to acknowledge that your partner may feel differently about this home. So let's say your partner feels happier or feels more comfortable or more creative when it's a little bit messy. So you could, for example, make a compromise and say, okay, well, this is your room. This is where you can be creative and I'm not going to interfere, so you can keep it as messy as possible. However, if your indirect resource is lower than 20% or higher than 95%, then you're not even able to make that kind of compromise. And that obviously then leads to one of you not feeling really at home because they can't really express themselves in a healthy way. So this is something that over time can erode a relationship. Now, usually, you can observe one or two, maybe even three of these sort of breaking points in your natal chart. So these are things you can work on, and then also check your partner's chart and see where he where his breaking points could be, and what you can work on together to make this work, to make this relationship stronger and not risk a breakup. All right, so I hope this helped. I hope this helps you a little bit to gauge your own sort of breaking points, but also those of your partner. And then with that awareness, you can make sure that you get more in alignment with the person who you live with, or with the person you consider to be a partner in your life. If you do have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. All my contact details are in the notes to this video. And I would really love it if you could just hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, share this video with anybody who might be interested. And I hope to see you very, very soon.